What's up, everybody? It's your boy Deafness45 back with Week 11 DFS talk. We're going to get on it. Caffeine with the stream is what we like to call this, as we grab our favorite caffeine beverage and I go through my plays for both GPP and cash for this week. Let me get this shared out real quick, make sure we get everybody in here, and we're going to jump right into it. So, 1 second here. Hope everybody's doing well. Hope everybody's having a great weekend. We got Thanksgiving coming up, so we should all be very thankful. Mash, what up, buddy? Good to see you, my man. I hope you're doing well. Good morning to you. Paul Olson pulling in. Bogarts, what up, what up, what up? I appreciate you popping in to say hi, man. Appreciate you. Good catching up with you a little bit last night as well. So, appreciate you, my dude. All right, we are live. Let me get this shared real quick. Week 11. Okay. All right. Nice. Amy, what's going on? How you doing? Good to see you. Good to see you. Good to see you. We got Dell up in the building, man. Good to see you, Colorado Dell. How you been, buddy? How are you doing, my guy? Guns had a great auction last night. Seemed pretty we're all successful. I was in there quite a bit. Got a nice curl off Origin Silver Ink Auto, which is going to be pretty sick. Nice little lot. He had some really nice stuff, guys. So again, if you guys aren't checking them out, make sure you guys do. Saturday nights, the gun show, where it's at. And I will not be breaking this week because of the holiday with Triple Diamond Sports Breaks, but check them out, tdsbreaks.com. Because normally I'd be doing like Thursdays or Thursdays, sometimes some Tuesdays. If I'm not going to do an auction that week, I'll let them know ahead of time. But obviously Thursday's Thanksgiving. I asked them if they wanted to break, and they haven't taken a day off of breaking because they've been breaking online for a couple of years now. They haven't taken one day off or one holiday off, but I guess the majority of them wanted to, which I don't disagree. I think you should be spending that with your family and friends and whatnot. And so your boy will not be breaking this week, but I'll be back with TripleDiamondSportsBreaks.com next week. So anyway, we're going to jump in here in a second. I don't see Fester. What up, Tom T? I don't see Fester yet. I don't see some of the other usuals. They usually roll in a little late. But anyway, let's get right into it. So I have on the screen right now, this is FanDuel or DraftKings? Oh, this is FanDuel's. So this is what Fantasy Cruncher has optimized. Top 3 lineups, Fantasy Cruncher. Not messing with any projections, what their projections are. Okay, this is where they see the optimal at. So you could look. A lot of these names are going to be somewhat highly owned. There's maybe some other names that'll be owned more than others, but this gives you a general idea of what the optimizer is spitting out, at least through FantasyCruncher.com. I'm also going to show you DraftKings, and then we are going to look at Cam Newton back in the mix, huh? Is Cam back? Is he back? I guess we'll see. We'll see what happens after this week. So I'm going to do what I normally do. I'm going to go through each game, discuss who I'm on, who I'm not on. And I think what I might do, let's do this. What I might do is I might just load up one, and then we'll build our lineups afterwards, okay? Let me just go into here. So the way I'm going to do this is, I think I'm just going to, I'll talk DraftKings, we'll build DraftKings lineups too, but I'm just going to go off of FanDuel this week. So I'm going to click on this, and if you click on this, most of you guys know it'll just bring up the players in that game. So we got the Indianapolis Colts at the Buffalo Bills. Man, are the Bills going to bounce back? I mean, we feel they're for real. You know, Tennessee Titans are right there in the mix. Tennessee's got to play Buffalo twice yet. So they got to play each other twice yet before this season is over. So those two games are going to get quite interesting, to be honest with you. But let's get into it here. It's going to be a little off because of my list is going to be different. But I got Bills favored by 7, 49-point total, okay? 49-point total. Bills favored by 7. Obviously, Josh Allen's going to be somewhat of a popular play. He is the highest priced quarterback on the slate. So take it for what it is. Is he capable of, paying off that? 100%. Absolutely he is. Okay? So Josh Allen, obviously you're going to like to pair him with the likes of Stephon Diggs, Knox. Now, there is a guy, Cole Beasley, Knox, Emmanuel Sanders is another name. McKenzie is someone who doesn't get too many targets, but can be sneaky if you're trying to be real sneaky in GPPs. Now, here's a name that I kind of touched on. Matt Breida, right? He found the end zone twice last week. Now, Devin Singletary is healthy. Zach Moss is healthy. I understand that. I get that. They're a 3-back committee right now, right? 3 running back committee. But he was the one to find Pater twice last week. Now, does that mean that's going to happen again? No. But if you're looking to take a shot at somebody, you're looking for a cheap option, 5,400. Now, I was a lot heavier on this GPP play earlier in the week than I was with the news now with Eli Mitchell being out in San Francisco. And we'll get to that game, but I just want to kind of throw that name out there. Jeff Wilson Jr. is a guy that I like at 5,000 on FanDuel this week. So Knox, T.Y. Hilton, he's healthy now, so he can be a cheap option running it back with the Colts. Obviously, Michael Pittman Jr., we like him week in, week out. I'm not big on Wentz this week. I'm not big on the Carson train this week. So my plays, if I'm doing anything, I would possibly even just run Josh Allen naked, and I would maybe not even run anything back from this game, and then maybe do stacks correlated with non-quarterbacks from other games on this slate. So that's how you could maybe get different, because you're going to see Patty Mahomes, you're going to see Dak Prescott, you're going to see Joe Burrows. I don't know how much you're going to see Carr, but that's a high point total. So taking some of those games, like the KC Dallas game, if you think it's going to be the shootout it should be, and it's supposed to be, and Vegas is saying it's going to be, you could take pieces of that game, throw Josh Allen in as quarterback, run nobody else with it, don't stack anybody else with that game, and then take Kansas City Dallas game and run that. So put in and we'll get to it, but Hill, Pringle, who's kind of went over Hardman now last week in targets, Kels, you could put in Zeke, Lamb, Gallup is still cheap, right? He's coming back from that injury. So we'll bounce into that. So that's where I'm at on that game. Houston at Tennessee. I'm not huge on this game personally. There are some names, though. Obviously, Tannehill is always a decent option, especially even more so now since your boy King Henry's out, right? Now, there's a guy, Foreman's now in the mix, Devontae Foreman, guy who was drafted by the Houston Texans, playing his old team, if you will. If you're a revenge narrative person and you're big on revenge, this would be what they call the revenge narrative game for Deontay Foreman. A.J. Brown's always a slick option. Tyrod Taylor, I'm not on. Brandon Cooks is a guy who's getting really 10-plus targets week in and week out. So Brandon Cooks is a guy that's consistently somebody you can look at, right? Deontay Foreman guy. This guy was drafted by Houston. In fact, look he's wearing the Houston colors still in the photo. They haven't updated his photo when he was a Texan. So he's kind of the guy there now with King Henry out, right? Yeah, AP really hasn't seen a lot of action. So Phillip Lindsay, Westbrook, and Kinney. I don't, none of these guys really. So that's really all I'm on there. Not too big. The New Orleans Saints at the Philadelphia Eagles. This is going to be a 42-point total. Eagles are favored by 3. What's up, everybody coming in? Michael, what up, bud? Saucy, Todd Billings, what up, my guy? How you been, dude? Good to see you, dude. Hope all is well with you, man. New Orleans at the Philadelphia Eagles. So here we go. Here's where I'm at. We got Kamara is out, so that's huge, right? He was out last week. That's huge for the likes of Mark Ingram, right? Mark Ingram, the former Saint, left, went to Baltimore, now is back with New Orleans, been back for a little bit. He gets the start. He should get the bulk of the carries. He is 6,800 on FanDuel. He's a little bit cheaper over on DraftKings, so I like him more on DraftKings than I do on FanDuel, but I still think he's a great play here on FanDuel. Jalen Hurts is a guy, we heard about it on last week's Playmaker podcast, right? Brady and my man Balls both agreed that they feel like Philadelphia's established the run game, and they feel that they've established that run game really more or less due to Jalen Hurts and his running ability. So Jalen Hurts gives you that rush upside big time, right? He could get in the end zone as well with his legs. So Jalen Hurts is always somebody, it's viable. It's always somebody you can look to. I'm more on like an Ingram, but more DraftKings side. Devontae Smith had a monster game last week, right? Not as much in yards, but look at this. Back to back, he's had 20 plus points. We don't want to be game log whores, but I just wanted to point out that he has been a beast. Before I pulled it up, he's got in the end zone twice last week. He had the more yards and one less touchdown the week before against the Chargers. Against Denver, though, 2 touchdowns, 66 yards, 6 targets, 4 receptions. Miles Sanders, I don't know, man. They talk about establishing the run. Here's the problem here. You got a guy like Miles Sanders. You got Jordan Howard, who's showing some glimpse of the old Howard from the Chicago Bears days. I don't know. I'm not on it. Holloway's always interesting. A guy that I liked, and I talked about him last week, guys. He was a guy I loved, and he was super cheap. He was $4K on DraftKings, and he was like $5K on FanDuel. Deontay Harris. This is a guy who continues not getting tons of yards, but he's pulling in what he's getting thrown, right? 4 targets last week, 3 receptions, 84 yards. If this guy finds the end zone on one of these, he's not 5,400 this week. He's probably 6K or 6,200, and he has that type of ability to get there. So Deontay Harris is always a guy that I like to look to now cheap. Dallas Goedert just coming off a big contract, looking to get paid. He did get paid, so let's see if he shows off what Philadelphia paid for this week. I look for Goedert to have a bounce-back game after he left last week early with a head injury. So it looks like he is back, or he is in. Miami Dolphins at the New York Jets. Jets defense on a cheap scale. If you want to play a cheap defense, I don't mind going with the Jets defense this week. And the reason why is because Tua is known to turn the ball over. Even though he continues to show a glimpse of being somewhat a good quarterback for the NFL, still learning, he's turning the ball over quite a bit. So Jets are a defense that I don't mind going with here. I'm not on Tua. If I was on Tua, I'd be pairing him with somebody like Jalen Waddle, who's been great this year. Michael Carter, not so much. Corey Davis, not so much. Joey Flacco is interesting, right? He should be getting the start this week. Mike Gesicki. Now, this is another guy who I'm not sure what happened last week. He had 7 targets and didn't catch 1. This is a guy that you can look at. 6,300, I think, is just too pricey on FanDuel. We'll have to look and see what his price tag is over on DraftKings. Miles Gaskins, another guy that's an interesting play. I talked about Elijah Moore before. This rookie, you got to keep your eyes on this guy. 6 targets, 3 receptions, 44 yards, and a touchdown. He had 2 touchdowns a week before. That's somebody that, if I'm a Jets fan, I'm excited about. There's not a lot to get excited about being a New York Jets fan lately. But if I'm trying to find something to get excited about, it's probably Elijah Moore. Crowder's always a guy that's going to be consistent for you if he gets the targets, if he gets there. Washington, Carolina. Carolina is another defense that I love this week. I think they're great. I think they're priced appropriately. And I think they may be a little too cheap over on DraftKings. FanDuel, they're more priced to where they should be for, I think, the matchup and where they're at. But I think this is a great spot for Carolina on the defense at home. Now, we talked about it. The man, we got CMC. Guys, I personally, it may have burned me over the last few years. I've personally never been heavy. I think CMC is one of the best out there as far as running backs go. But I always worry because he always tends to get hurt, right? We talk about it. Production's usually what you look for, right? Especially when you're looking at a running back. There's certain things you're looking at. You know, are they getting the touchdowns? Are they in at the goal line? Are they going to have a shot at the touchdowns? Do they get receptions? There's certain things we got to look through and check off, right? When we're playing running back, and he checks all those boxes. But there's one other box that I feel he's just overutilized. And maybe now with Cam Newton back, maybe now we're going to see the old CMC a little bit more, because now they have to worry about Cam Newton's legs as well. They got to worry about Cam Newton scrambling. They got to worry about Cam Newton running, where they didn't have to do that so much with the likes of like Sam Darnold, right? So Cam Newton he's super cheap over on DraftKings, guys. He's almost a free square on DraftKings. I think he's $5,100 on DraftKings. He's $7,500 on FanDuel, which I feel is a fair price in this matchup. I do feel like he will probably find the end zone with his legs at least once this week. And if he does on DraftKings, you've basically paid that price tag off already, the value. Now, you haven't got the upside out of it, but you've paid that price tag off. So look, Cam Newton's a great play this week. I'm interested to see what happens. He came in last week, played great when he had the opportunities. Now got the starting role. So he'll be the leader of that team again. We'll see what he does with it. Scary Terry on the other side, McLaurin, always a great option. Tyler Heineke is always a guy that's sneaky, man. He can always be sneaky. I say I love Carolina's defense, but in the GPP world, anything is viable. You can play anybody in GPPs because that's what you're looking for. You're looking to play guys that not everybody else is playing. Maybe not in every single spot that you fill, but in a couple spots. And sometimes quarterback is one of those spots that if you get different or you play different, not saying Newton is, I'm saying Tyler Heineke would be this week. That's where you can take an advantage if they go off and they have like a career day, or they have that ceiling game, if you will, and pay off. Antonio Gibson found the end zone again last week. He seems to be semi-back. I don't like him here at Carolina, though, against Carolina defense. I think with Carolina back, or with Cam Newton back, I'm not as big on DJ Moore, and it's unfortunate. He is on my season-long fantasy team. I like Robbie Anderson more. Robbie Anderson has been one of Cam Newton's favorite targets when Robbie Anderson's been with this team, when Newton's been on the team as well. So that's somebody you can kind of look to, or Robbie Anderson, 5,600. I think that's just cheap. And I have to look and see when we get to the DraftKings stuff. There's one other play that I really like here. Ricky Seals-Jones is out. They utilize their tight end a lot in Washington. John Bates. John Bates is a guy that he's 4,800 here. I want to say he's like 2,500 on DraftKings. He's bare minimum on DraftKings. I get it. They're the best pass defense. But what do a lot of teams do when they're playing the top opposing pass defenses? When they pass the ball, what do? They usually don't take shots as much down the field, right? They utilize their backfield. They utilize their tight ends. John Bates is a guy that I think today, with Ricky Seals-Jones out, can be sneaky, right? Nobody's going to be talking about him. He had three targets. I haven't seen anything brought up about him all week. 3 targets, 3 receptions, 25 yards. He didn't find the end zone, but he came in for Ricky Seals-Jones. He's now been practicing, obviously, all week with the first team, right? So now he's gotten those reps in. He's a little bit more familiar with that first team, with Heineke throwing him the ball, etc. I think that can be a sneaky option. What up, Joe? How you doing, buddy? Good to see you, man. Anybody else that's popping in? Terry, what up, man? Yes, Newton is 5,100 in DK. He is basically, yeah, they have the same barber sauce, he says. He is basically a free play in DK as long as he gets in the end zone, right? Which he is capable of doing. Tim Boyle starting for Lions. He is more likely to throw than Goff was. That being said, weather may be iffy, but I think Hawk will get more this week than he has. Yeah, that's a good take, Tom, man. That's awesome, man. And that's what I love. I love when you guys are on here. I'm big on Dak, Elliott, Kels, Montgomery. Okay. Yeah. David Montgomery. Yeah, I mean, so I'll tell you that in like some of my bigger GPP lineups, I either am playing Dak or I'm playing Mahomes. So if I'm playing Mahomes, I'm playing Pringle typically and Hill, or I'm playing Hill and Kels, or Pringle and Hill, and then I'm running it back with either Zeke or Zeke and Gallup, or CD Lamb and Gallup. So it's highest point total. I mean, for GPPs, it's great. Mahomes is more of a cashy quarterback this week for cash lineups, but I love playing him in GPPs and then getting different in the rest of the lineup. Dak is more your GPP play for the GPP lineups, but they're both good. They're great spots. So again, John Bates is somebody, if you want to save some salary, especially over on DraftKings, 2,500. I mean, think about this. We'll look at it. We'll try to build something once. We'll try to build a lineup at DraftKings when we do it. We'll just throw Cam Newton in. We don't have to stick with him. We'll throw Cam Newton in, and we'll put in somebody like John Bates, and then we'll see how much salary we have left over. Now, that's not always the right thing, right? Because they have to go off, but we'll see what happens. San Fran at Jacksonville. Here we go. This is where I was big on, for GPPs, I was big on somebody like Breda, even though Singletary and Moss are healthy. He found the end zone twice. I think he continues to maybe get a few more looks. But at FanDuel at 5,400, I would rather go to, now with the news, Jeff Wilson Jr. at 5,000 against Jacksonville. I think this is a great spot right here. I love this play. Jeff Wilson Jr. this week. I love it. He will be semi-chalky, but the price, it's too cheap. You can get different. You can get cute elsewhere, right? Dan Arnold on the Jacksonville side at tight end is always a good play. He continues to see targets, right? Sermon's being used more in like special teams and stuff. They're talking now. This could be the week that Sermon gets a ton of looks. I mean, it happens, right? We feel like we figured out San Francisco's backfield one week, and then it's somebody else completely different that gets all the looks. Marvin Jones, always getting those looks. Trevor Lawrence, no thanks. George Kittle, not a lot of talk about him this week. Could be interesting. He just hasn't had, there's not a lot of production. He's been hurt. They're going through their quarterback, trying to figure out who's going to play, Garoppolo or Lance. Each week, Deebo Samuel, on pace to, he's breaking NFL receiving records, so that's kind of where I'd be there. Detroit at Cleveland. Tom T already kind of said it. Tim Boyle starting for your Detroit Lions. Man, if you want to go back to in the past of the Detroit Lions and them starting a backup quarterback in a game, they've had a lot of great success over the years. In fact, I forget who the guy was, but he came in... Daniels something, I think it's Daniel. Something Daniels. Chase Daniels, maybe? Is that the name? I think he went to the Bears after the Lions' little run. But he played our Vikings, and I want to say it was on Thanksgiving Day. And he had like 3 or 4 passing touchdowns, like 300 yards or something. I don't know, man. I don't know. What did Terry say? Tim Boyle's the reason I have Browns defense in multiple spots. Hey, take a shot at it, man. Take a shot. So this is a 42.5. Yeah, the Browns are 13-point favorites. Yeah, I get it. But don't forget about Detroit's. Man, think about it. They haven't had any luck at all this year, and that luck could continue to go the wrong way, right? But could this be the week that a backup quarterback comes in and Detroit gets a good win? I don't know. I'm not confident in that. I'm not confident in me saying that. But I'm saying that, man, this is any given Sunday, man. Anything can happen. Now, Nick Chubb, I like Nick Chubb. He's very spendy this week, though, and for good reason. He's not as bad on DraftKings, but he's still up there. I think he's 7,800 on DraftKings. Nick Chubb's an interesting spot. He is 9K. It's hard to pay that price tag on this slate with him being 9K. In a running back spot with all the value that we have at running back and all the different play options we have with these games. But it is interesting. DeAndre Swift, we continue to talk about the guy, right? Last week, I think we brought his name up. Wasn't it last week? And we're like, why are we looking at 33 attempts, 130 yards, right? 6 targets, 3 receptions. Didn't get a lot of yardage there. If he would have found the end zone, this would have been a whole different thing, man. Like, we would have been talking heavy on Swift. So, it is interesting. Baker, interesting with that high point total, but I think this is kind of the Chubb deal, right? And maybe even Johnson sneaky in there with Hunt out. He's been great as a replacement for both of them. But now Chubb will be the majority guy, but Johnson will get his looks, but I think it's very hard to take a shot at someone like Dearness Johnson at 8K when you don't really know if he's going to get anything, right? Landry, and there you go. There's your Tim Boyle. Man, minus 1.1 yard. How about the Thursday night game? Seeing Mac Jones wins a game again. Doesn't do much production though. But how about Josh Rosen going in and throwing 2 picks? That's interesting. So, all right. Green Bay at Minnesota. My Vikes get the Packers. Here we go, baby. So, a couple pieces I like in this game on both sides of the ball, right? Conklin has continued to be a decent option at tight end. He does find the end zone. He does get some targets. Not bad. He's not like a highly priced tight end. He's right in that mid-tier. So if you're looking for a mid-tier tight end, Tyler Conklin is interesting. Randall Cobb continues to be kind of that secondary guy, especially with someone like Lazard is doubtful. You know, MVS, we're still suspect of his hands, right? Rodgers, I think, still has a tough time trusting him. But he trusts someone like Cobb if he's not looking at Devontae Adams. So that's where I go. That's where I like there. Oh, here we are. So Rodgers, Cousins. I don't mind Aaron Rodgers this week. A lot of people aren't talking about him. He didn't have a great game. They won. They spanked the Seahawks at home, but it was pretty much an ugly game. I do like a bounce back from Rodgers. Cousins, I think, has an all right game too, but I think if Minnesota's going to win this game, I think it's Dalvin Cook. I personally feel like if we win this game, it's Dalvin Cook. Now, there's another guy on Green Bay that a lot of people are going to be playing due to Aaron Jones being out, and that's A.J. Dillon. He's going to be very, very chalky. He's not a sneaky play. There's nothing sneaky about this play. He's chalky for good reason, right? He's going to be the workhorse. He's going to get the touches. That's what we're looking for. He's going to be there by the end zone. That's what we're looking for. He gets some receptions as well. That's what we're looking for. He got a couple targets, right? So it's a great spot. $7K, I don't know. I don't know if I want to pay a $7K price for a backup running back who's now starting in Green Bay against Minnesota. I don't know. I'll have him in a lineup or two. I'm not going to lie to you guys and say I'm not going to play him at all. But we know what happens, right? We see it every single week. I talk about this before the games play. We talk about a chalky running back, and 8 or 9 times out of 10, that chalky running back does nothing. Does very little, right? And even if let's say he gets in the end zone, but if he doesn't have a lot of yards, which, who knows? The game hasn't been played yet, any given Sunday. That still isn't going to even pay off his price tag, right? He's going to get the production. It should get there. He should pay it off. He's chalk for a reason, but we know why. We know how chalk is. You guys have seen this week in and week out. Chalky players typically don't come through and do what they're supposed to do. I have Lions covering. I feel the under hits too. All right, Dell. Appreciate you, buddy. Have a great day, buddy. So that's where I'm at there. All right, that's what I'm looking at. Those are my guys. KJ Osborne's a sneaky play if you're getting away from the likes of Thielen or Jefferson. Jefferson is getting right up there, close to Devontae Adams, man. I mean, he's showing he's an elite receiver in the NFL. Baltimore at Chicago. I think this could have the potentials of being, if Lamar Jackson plays, right? He's still a game-time decision. Right? If Lamar Jackson plays, I think this game is a little bit closer than people think. I think the points go over what Vegas is saying it's going to be. I think Lamar is in a great spot. I think Andrews is a good look. I think my guy, though, for the Baltimore side is going to be Bateman. If Lamar plays, I like Bateman. Look at this. 8 targets last 2 games. When he came back from injury, 6-6, 8-8. There is no Hollywood Brown this week, right? So he's going to be kind of that guy besides Mark Andrews. Hollywood Brown is out. So, guys, interesting. Our guy Bateman, who's already gotten 8 targets the last 2 weeks, right? Now is in. Now, I think our guy Paul likes David Montgomery, right? Going up against a tough rush defense. See how he does. See how his take is on that. It's interesting. Justin Fields, I mean, I don't know. See what he can do. Again, I think this is a higher scoring game. He's got to obviously be involved somewhat, but maybe it's more David Montgomery. Or maybe it's more just the legs of Fields on Chicago's side. Hard to say, right? Sammy Watkins could be another place to look as well. Because Duvernay is out, right? So Sammy Watkins would be probably like that receiver 2, if you will, for Baltimore right now. So back in Mahomes again. Hicks, I'm doing the same thing, buddy. I'm doing the same exact thing, brother. I'm playing a lot of Pringle as well. Hill and Pringle with either Zeke or like Zeke and Gallup or whatever. But yeah. So Sammy Watkins, interesting as well. Another cheap option there. Allen Robinson's doubtful, so keep an eye on that. Money Mooney could be a guy to look to if you think Fields is going to get it going. If you think that, I would look to somebody like the likes of Money Mooney, Cole, Kmet, maybe. Cincy at Las Vegas, I love this game as well, right? I think Vegas has it at a 51.5 point total, if I'm not mistaken. 51, and it's Bengals favored by 1 in Las Vegas, guys. I love a couple pieces of this game. I'll tell you what I like. I like Jamar Chase. I like Joe Mixon a lot, right? I don't mind Burrow. I don't mind in GPPs playing a little stacky with a little Burrow, a little Chase, running it back with somebody like Deshaun Jackson or Hunter Renfrow or even Darren Waller, right? Derek Carr is interesting. T. Higgins. You could even stack possibly Higgins, Chase, Burrow. Run it back with Deshaun Jackson. If he busts a deep one, which he did in for the Los Angeles Rams this year as well. Before he just went over to the Raiders. Renfrow is kind of that go-to guy now with Ruggs being out of there. Besides Waller at tight end. So those are the guys I like. Josh Jacobs, interesting. But again, you never know when you're going to get that Drake game where he gets the other reps and then he ends up playing better. I talked about that in the past. Deshaun Jackson down here at 5,300. We'll have to look at his price on DraftKings. He only had one target last week, but it only takes that one target, that 180-yard touchdown target at a cheap price tag, and boom. It helps, it makes your lineup different, more unique. So that's my little interesting take on that game there is Deshaun Jackson. Arizona at Seattle. Let me get the point total up on this. Arizona, Seattle, 45.5. Seattle is favored by 3. Russell Wilson did not look good at all last week. Is he going to bounce back? Is this going to be the week? If he does bounce back, if he does have a good game, it's going to be followed with DK Metcalf, Tyler Lockett. Those are the names we see week in, week out. It's just, are they getting the production? Are we seeing them do what they should be doing? So I don't know. I'm not big on that. Kyler Murray's still questionable. I still really like this guy, Connor Strong, baby, going up against a very soft Seattle defense, right? Oh, and going back to Bateman as well. Bateman and Watkins, Baltimore. Again, that's if Lamar plays. Chicago has usually been known to be a very, very good pass defense. They've been absolutely terrible. They've given up I think they've given up almost some of the most yards to receivers this year, fantasy points. One of the two. I don't remember what the stat is exactly, but it's something to do with basically favoring those receivers heavily. So just keep that in mind as well when you're doing your builds. Other than that, Alex Collins down here, you could possibly look at. Rondell Moore is always at that down the field shot. Zach Ertz. So things to look at. This is the game we're here, guys. This is the game that's probably going to make or break a lot of milli makers. Dallas at KC, right? 54, 55.50. 55.5 point total. Chiefs favored by 2.5 points. Guys, this is a game. This is what dreams are made out of right here. If you're a football fan, this is the game right here, guys. So, is it gonna live up to it? Is it gonna meet points? Is it gonna go over? Is it gonna come under a lot? Is this gonna be one of those low scoring games that's supposed to be just a huge shootout? Only time will tell, guys. But here we go. I'm looking at all these names at the top. I like them all, right? So Hill, Zeke, Prescott, Mahomes, Lamb. They said Lamb's going to be more of a slot receiver going forward. Kels, right? Williams. Here's a guy that I like as well, that I like to throw in these lineups. Two guys. Gallup. Like Gallup. And right here, Pringle. This guy. Byron Pringle. Super cheap on DraftKings as well. Right? He's starting to take over the likes of the Hardmans, right? And the Robinson. The Robinson's never been that great anyway. He's never really gotten the looks, but he's kind of overseeing Hardman now. So he's kind of becoming that receiver too. Lefty Beetle, what's going on, buddy? How you doing, man? Kaka. Shout out to my man, Lefty Beetle. The Scuff Beatles. Hope you're doing well, but thanks for stopping in, man. Appreciate you. But yes, Mahomes is just too cheap. The price tag on here is just way too cheap. For this game, where this game virus can be, Prescott's $100 more than he is. And I get it, right? Prescott's going to give you, he actually has probably a higher ceiling because of his legs, because of his rushing touchdown ability. Mahomes has put some in before, goal line with his legs, what have you. But Prescott's more prone to, at the goal line, at the 1 or at the 2, do an option or do something to sneak it or do a run around. If nobody's open, just run it in with his legs if it's clear. So that's where we stand there, guys. So here's what we're going to do. We're going to build our lineup now, and then also show you guys where I'm at with cash, and then we'll build a DraftKings lineup as well. So guys, let's get this thing started here. Who do we want to play at quarterback? Do we want to look at this game at quarterback? Do we want to look at a Mahomes build or a Dak Prescott build? Where do you guys want to go with this? You guys let me know. We build this thing together. We build this baby together. Let me know, guys. Who should we roll with? I feel like big money this week. Feel like we're gonna win some big money this week. I got a feeling that today's gonna be a good day. Are you guys here or no? Are we sleeping? Are we afraid to say who we want? All right, so let's do this. Let's do a Dak build. No, let's go Mahomes because he's cheaper. So let's go Mahomes. Okay. There you go. Joe Mans, someone finally speaks up. I appreciate that. This is the part of class where you guys get to participate now, all right? So I've kind of given you all my plays. I've kind of told you where I see what I stand at. Now you guys get to participate with me and let me know what you guys, as we build this lineup together, all right? So who are we going to stack them with, right? Are we going to go with the likes of Hill? Are we going to put Hardman? Are we going to put Pringle? Are we going to put, are we going to use Kels here? Who do you guys want to pair him with? There you go, Steve. That's what I would do. I love the Cam idea. Yeah, you could do Cam naked as well, right? Well, how about this, Terry? Let's do that build in DraftKings where Cam is $5,100. So keep that. Terry, keep that idea, and I'll kind of keep it refresh in my head. When we go to our DraftKings build, let's do that idea on that build, okay? So let's build this just because he's so much cheaper on DraftKings. Let's do it that way. You have Hill and Pringle. All right, you went Hill. Yep. So Hill's Pringle. So I'm seeing Hill. No Williams. I'm not big on Williams today. But I do like Kels. I do like Hill. So, you guys tell me. Well, I think we're kind of split here. Let's see. This is going to be tough. Let's see what we can do here. Okay? I really do like Pringle, but I haven't built one like this yet. I don't know if we can. Okay? So, here's the thing. Who are we going to run it back with in this game? Are we going to do Zeke? Is Zeke going to have a monster game? Are we going to do Pollard? Are we going to do CeeDee Lamb? Are we going to do Gallup? Who do we run it back with on the Dallas side? We can build, Joe. We can build with the other teams here in a minute, but let's focus on this game first and get this rest of this figured out. But yeah, Steve Thompson, I do agree, brother. I have most of my builds have Hill and Pringle, but I want to see where this one goes because I see a lot of Hill, I see a few Pringle, I see a lot of Kels. So let's see if we can build this thing with Tyreek Hill and Kels. Now, we are going to build one on DraftKings, and we're actually going to use Cam with nobody stacked, and then we're going to take a bunch of this game, and we're going to go back and forth without a quarterback from either game. So, just because Kels or Newton is $5,100, which is just like a free play, pretty much. Unless he gets hurt right away, or he's out of the game, or jets himself, I guess. Let's see. So, Gallup, I think Gallup's probably the way to go, even though I do like Zeke a lot as well this week. But Gallup is 5,400. Okay. So let's figure out our defense first so we can see what we have to play with here the rest of the way. Let's not do this. Let's do all. All right. So we obviously have Cleveland at 5,000, which is expensive. If we pay all the way up, we're going to be limited per player. I love Tennessee against Houston. Like I said, Bills interesting at home. Carolina Panthers at 4,100. Like I said, I think I like. Jets are interesting at 3,800 against Miami. They're much cheaper on DraftKings, but most defenses are anyway. Who should we do for defense? Paul says Carolina. Steve has Andrews. That's a good play, Andrews. As long as Jackson plays. We got to figure out Lamar Jackson. Go with Zeke, and to save some salary, pick up Gallup at a third receiver, then take Chubb at flex. So Zeke, so we could plug in Zeke as well. So we could do like a Zeke Gallup since we're playing two receivers. Eagles. Yeah, I just think I would pay $200 more to have Carolina, I think. In my opinion, this week. At home against Washington. Washington's always a sneaky team, but let's see what this does. That will leave us 6,600. Now we do have some cheap running back options to save salary. So we don't have to go with this. I'm just seeing where we stand. So if we put Zeke in there as well, that leaves us just under 6. That leaves us just under 6. With Cam Newton, I don't agree with that. Not in Carolina. I think if they're at home, it'd be a different story. I personally don't agree with that. They'll probably be all right, but they don't have Chase Young, man, right? Chase Young's out again. That's it. That's an issue. Definitely an issue. So, all right, guys, what are we doing here? We have a flex, we have a receiver and a running back. So now there's another high game, right? A high total game. If we want to look at what Vegas is telling us or the route Vegas is trying to tell us to go, we would want to do somebody from like the Cincy Las Vegas game. And here's what I'm thinking. We either do my take I said on Deshaun Jackson for a flyer, or Hunter Renfrow, $6,100. Because I think we have some running backs that we can. This is going to be a shootout. Okay, we can do something like that, right? What up, Airtime? How you doing, my brother? Airtime. By the way, your next trivia. Just let me know what the amount is for the credit or whatever. I'm covering it for your next one for my deal or whatever. So just let me know. Is it $20, $30, whatever it is? I got you this next time. So this your next trivia coming up in the next week or 2 weeks, whenever it is. Let me know the date so I'm sure. So I'm not live when you're going to be doing it. So I can do it early that day. And then I also got you this time on the credit. So that would leave us with 5,900, right? So let's look at our running backs. Now, we have to pay down on this spot with this build. Because, like, even if you did someone like A.J. Dillon, that only leaves us $4,800, right? So, Mark Ingram, 68. It's probably not going to leave us much. Deontay Foreman, 62. Myles Gaskin, 62. Boston Scott. Let me know if you guys... Breda was a guy I was looking at, but it's a 3-back deal now with Singletary back. I don't know, man. I just feel like this is just too cheap, and it might kick us in the head. Might beat us up. But at $5,000... Thanks. At $5,000... Prince? Prince. Who the hell is Prince? Prince for San Fran? Prince? I don't know who you're talking about. Who's Prince? Yeah, I'm confused, Olsen. You got me super confused, brother. Who the heck is Prince from SF? Somebody they just picked up off the practice team and they're not in the lineup, or they're not in the option in FanDuel? Yeah, you're good, Jeff. No worries. Talking about Sermon? Behind. Sermon will likely serve as the 49ers' top backup running back behind Jeff Wilson in Sunday's game against the Jaguars, with Eli Mitchell finger listed as doubtful and Hasty. There is no other Prince. I don't know. This guy is going to be the backup, which he is $500 more than Wilson. That's what they're saying. Yeah, man, you tell me where you got that info from. Yeah, Jeff Wilson. That's who I was talking about. That's who I said. That's who I had pulled up right away, like when we started talking about this. All right. So Wilson. All right. So we're good there. We're clear. All right. So our flex now leaves us at $6,800. I got to get on all here. And then we're going to build a DraftKings. I'll show you guys my FanDuel cash lineup, and then we'll build a DraftKings lineup. So we got Lockett. We got George Kittle, Montgomery, Mark Ingram, Darren Waller. We already have a Las Vegas receiver, though. We'd maybe have to switch if we did a 2 tight end, which this could be a 2 tight end week, honestly. A couple tight ends I think are going to go off, and those are 2 that I think could go off. Waddle, Gibson. Talk to me. Foreman, 6,200. Hawkinson, 59. We can always adjust. I mean, I think we built this correctly. Waddle is not bad. I can't trust Tua, man. Can't trust Tua. That's why I'll never play him in DFS. Like, maybe in a year or two when he shows like he can be consistent and trusted. What about something like Ingram? I mean, he's going to be the ball. Otherwise, Waller, we do a 2 tight end. Yeah, but Waller's going to be... I don't know how Andrews is. Is Lamar... We don't even know if Lamar is playing yet. Have they ruled Lamar in? Is Lamar in this week? Lamar is in. I love Lamar this week as well, just to let you guys know for GPPs. Andrews, we don't have the salary for. So Andrews is 7,000, right? But we could go to someone like Waller, but then I think we got to go different with Renfro. I think we got to change that out with somebody else. Lamar is out. Just heard it on the pregame show. Guys, stay away. Like Bateman, I was heavy on Baltimore. Stay away from. I don't want anything to do with Mark Andrews this week. I get it. They'll probably still throw to him. He might still see the end zone. But I don't trust. If Lamar's not in there, I don't trust that at all. I'm just staying away from that game completely. Yep. All right, he's out. So let's stay away from that game. So again, somebody like Waller, I think Waller's a better play than like Waddle is this week, in my own opinion. Like, you guys really like Montgomery? Baltimore's a great rush defense, man. I mean, we can take a stab at Montgomery on this build. Who do you guys honestly feel has a bigger game, Montgomery or Ingram this week? Ingram's going to be getting the rock too because Kamara's out. Yeah, Bears defense definitely gets a bump with Lamar out. 100%, Terry. 100%. You're right on with that. What's up, Quados? How you doing, brother? Good morning, man. Hope everything's good in there in the Sunshine State in Florida. Nice and cold here. You have Ingram in. I mean, Montgomery could be, Mr. Olsen, Paul Olsen says he's big on Montgomery this week. He said that earlier on in the stream when we first started talking. So, so if we do that again, we're going to do this, right? We're going to take Zeke out. We're going to put Ingram up top, right? You guys know why we do this, right? Whoops. You guys know why we do this. Because Ingram's a noon game, or 1 o'clock if you're Eastern time. And the KC Dallas game is a late game. So let's say this lineup, or let's say your lineup after the first games, you're towards the top, or you're moving towards the top, and you have an exact salary amount left, like $8,500. And obviously at $8,500, if we were to look at late games, right? So it's going to be hard to do. I'd have to switch. Well, I could do it. So I could just do this. So let me just go here. So let me go. So you have Cincy, Las Vegas, right? So let's say we had Zeke in there, right? So there's nobody close in that 8,500. They'd have to really pay down and take a shot. No one there either. But it could be Tyreek Hill if they've already played all their receivers, they don't have any receiver spots open. It could be Tyreek Hill they have. It could be someone like Lamb, or it could be Zeke. So if you were like tied up, or and again, you have to guess that they've used up all their salary, that they've paid and used all their salary. But you could take a chance at switching, right, and going to somebody different to try to get ahead, right, to try to take it down, especially if it's like a milli maker, right? Because first place is 1 million, and like second or third place is like 100,000. 100,000 and 1. I mean, 100,000 is still great money. Don't get me wrong, but 100,000 to a million's like crazy just between two places. So it gives you that option to try to look somewhere else. And I'm not saying that you're gonna have 8,500 in every build. I'm saying you might have a build, but that's why you do the late game. Let's say you have like 6,600, right? So, and there's many guys at 6,600. And you're like going, okay, well, the Vegas is saying it's this total. So you look at the highest point total game, and maybe you get away from that, trying to get different to try to boost yourself ahead. So you don't have the same player. Because if you have the same player, you're not going to move anywhere, right? Like the spot ahead of you, if they still have that, it's going to just keep every point you get, they get the same point. It's trying to get ahead of them. So I think this is a pretty solid build, if you ask me. So we got Patty Mahomes. This is GPP. Patty Mahomes, Ingram, Wilson, Tyreek Hill, Gallup, Renfro, Kels, Ezekiel Elliott, and Panthers defense. Let's lock it in. I'm going to show you guys really quickly my cash build for FanDuel. So this is my cash lineup right now for FanDuel. So we got... Wait a minute. Is this it? Yeah, it is. I got to lock it out. I might go Cooks. Nah, I think I'm sticking with Lockett, honestly. And it's gonna be a shootout. I think I'm gonna stick with him. I'm staying with him. So I'm staying with him on that. So that's gonna be my that's where is it? This right here is my cash lineup right here. So I got Patty Mahomes for FanDuel. Mahomes, Wilson, Connor, Lockett, Gallup, Adams, Arnold, Hill, and Cleveland Browns defense. Yeah. Carolina in Carolina against Washington. Yeah, for the price. Again, airtime. What's up, Texas TCC? How you doing, buddy? For the Carolina or with Cam back, yeah, I think it gives them a boost, and they're at home. So the price again, a lot of this is price dependent upon airtime. So like Cleveland, right? Cleveland is $5,000. Carolina's $900 less. So $900 gives us a lot more to work with in our lineups to put towards positions. So, all right, let's move over to DraftKings. Again, I'm going to show you guys what Fantasy Cruncher has on the top 3. This is without touching anything. Their own projections. This is what the optimal for 3 builds is showing us. So, like, their top one is showing Cam, Foreman, Ingram, Moore, A.J. Brown, Devontae Adams, Austin Hooper, Chris Godwin, and Panthers defense. See, Panthers defense coming up everywhere. Bolts on the FanDuel just because they're $3,200. So I don't know why against Buffalo, but whatever. All right, let's build a lineup here. Now again, we're just gonna start with Newton. We're just because we want to see something. We want to play with this a little bit. We just want to see how much salary would be left, right? So again, Cam Newton is only $5,100 starting for Carolina this week, right? Is Chase Young in? He should be out, right? Isn't he out for a while? So tight end, I'm just doing this. We're not necessarily using this tight end, but I'm just going to see what this entails or leaves us with. It was minimum. John Bates. He's their starting tight end with Ricky Seals-Jones out. So that would leave you over 6,000. You don't even have a defense in yet, right? So again, over here, Panthers defense is $2,700. Now, Bears defense is interesting with Baltimore. I actually don't mind the Bears defense now with Lamar Jackson obviously out. I think they're an interesting play at $2,500 on DraftKings. Yeah, it's all about prices, man. That's the biggest thing. Like, obviously, Cleveland would be a great defense this week, right? But you're gonna pay for Cleveland or Tennessee. Browns at 3,200, or no, excuse me. Browns at 3,100. They are much cheaper over here. That might be good too. But Titans are 39. Titans are like 4,600 on FanDuel. Now, again, we don't have to stick with this. I'm just telling you. Yeah, I know. But I'm looking for a bounce back from Russell Wilson. I don't trust playing him in GPPs, but I trust him to get it done this week and have a bounce back game. And I think Lockett will be heavily involved. So he gets the targets, right? You just got to pull them in. They got to be there. So if we did this, if we went to the likes of somebody back to like Wilson, right? 5,100. And then we did something like Zeke, Hill. So we're running Cam naked, which is a different, unique, but then we're putting a bunch of this Dallas KC game in the mix as well. I'm just playing around right now to see what this leaves us. We could obviously pay up at defense. So do we pay up for Browns? Do we play Titans defense against Houston at Tennessee? What do you guys think? We have salary. Jamar Chase, Joe Mixon, I said I love this week. I think he's going to be heavily involved. So is Jamar Chase. We just see something once. Devontae Smith, Dylan, Walker, Connor. Let's do this one. Let's flex. So let's just. I'm just messing around with lineups so we can build one together. I'm just seeing what. Elliott, 6,500. Smith, Pittman, Cooks, Lockett, Renfro. Sorry, guys. I'm just looking at something here. I don't know if I like having two $3,400 players in there, but or you could even do something like this. If we want to do something like blind again with Buffalo and have that KC Dallas game stacked. Then you got the Cincy Las Vegas taking a shot with D Jackson, and then Titans defense and leaving 100 on the floor. Yeah, airtime. Yeah, I do. I play more than one. I usually play like anywhere from like 5 to like 10 or 12, and then I only play so in cash games, like I've mentioned before in previous streams. For those that are newer to play in DFS, when you build a cash lineup, the cash lineup is the guys that are for that week against the defenses. You think of cash players as more consistent players, right? Guys that are risky, like where they may not have huge games, like the ability's there, but there's a good chance that they may not as well. So you're taking that high risk, high reward. That's what GPPs are, tournaments. Cash games, you're playing guys that have a high floor, so they're consistent, like they're going to be heavily involved in the game, right? They're going to probably get a receiver. They're probably going to get 8 to 12 targets on average, right? So they got to just haul them in. Running backs, they're getting 20 plus touches, right? They're in the game typically at goal line for chances at getting into the end zone, right? They can also catch the ball, so they'll be in plays where, you know, it's a halfback pass or whatever, where they're dumping it off to the running back. So you're looking at all those things. Cash games also will have sometimes cheaper, chalkier players, obviously, as well. So like somebody like Jeff Wilson, he's also a very cash viable player because it's one spot. You don't want to have your whole lineup be $5,000 running backs and $4,000 receivers, the whole thing. But in cash, you're gonna have some of that if they're in good spots, like if their other guys are out, like Wilson being like the rookie. So Paul says he built something. Cam, Wilson, Ingram, Chase, Lamb, Hill, Baited. Is that Bates? Oh, John Bates, or that's a good lineup, Terry. I'd lock that one in, buddy. I would put that in a lineup, run it, see what happens. See what happens. Jacob, how you doing, man? I know I said hello to you earlier, but here's mine at the moment. Mahomes, Ingram, Jacobs, Debo, Pringle, Renfro, Kels, Mixon, Carolina. I like it, man. I like it. I like it. My only question to you, Steve, and it's fine to do that because that's also going to be a different build, a unique build, is you have one side of the game. So you have KC, right? You have Mahomes, you have Pringle. You have one side of that game, but you don't have the other side. You don't have anyone from Dallas, which you don't have to. Sometimes that'll get you different and more unique than what other people are building within when they're stacking those games. But then my other question to you would be, you have Josh Jacobs, right? And you have Hunter Renfro. So you have two guys from that game, but one's a running back, one's a receiver, right? Like, so what I'm getting at is, like, when you're building this, you should be rooting for, like, you would take a really, really cheap guy. So, like, the reason why we do, like, Pringle at 30, because he's 3,400, he's basically a flyer. He's a cheap flyer. He's super cheap, right? And we're also doing another receiver like Tyreek Hill with our quarterback or without our quarterback. But, you know, in our other FanDuel stack, you know, we had them both or whatever. The reason why we do that is because we're correlating that our quarterback is going to go off and have a monster game throwing the ball, and he's going to throw it so much and have so many, so many receptions. The receivers are going to receive so many, and it's going to be split between more than one receiver in the game, and we're hoping that they both find end zone and get targets. Because a receiver is going to throw, 25 to 40 times a game, so not one receiver is going to get 25 targets, right? It's going to be split up. So we're hoping that between Pringle and Hill, when they get their targets, they haul them in, and hopefully they both hit the end zone. But Jacobs and what I'm getting at is, like, Josh Jacobs and Renfro don't correlate, right? You have a running back and you have a receiver. I get it's a high point total. I mean, it is a different way. It's another unique way to build. It's just I personally, in most cases, don't do it. I think we might have done it in FanDuel with the Elliott and the Gallup because we did the cheap, super cheap receiver, taking a flyer on that in the high scoring game, and then Zeke, who should be heavily involved, if that makes sense to you. If that makes sense to how I'm telling you that, whereas like that Josh Jacobs, Renfro, there's not direct correlation with that because you're playing a running back and a tight end in the same game, same side of the team. So I personally wouldn't do it. I would play one or the other, and I would maybe go to I don't know, maybe Jacobs. Because a lot more people are looking at Renfro for GPPs, right? GPP side, if that makes sense to you guys. So that's kind of, I just built that really kind of messing around. So taking the quarterback, being different again, being unique, and taking a quarterback that's not stacked or correlated with anybody, but in a pretty good spot, right, at home, has huge rush side ability as well for our quarterback. Taking the Chalky Wilson, taking a guy like Mixon, who should be in a high-scoring shootout, who should be heavily involved, who has been the last few weeks. Then taking pieces of that Dallas KC game, so Hill and Pringle, taking a cheap and an expensive flyer on there, a receiver. Taking Djax to correlate with the Mixon on that side as a huge risk flyer, GPP. John Bates, bottom end of the barrel, backup tight end, who is now going to be the starter, who had, 3 receptions, hauled all 3 in last week. Now got first-team reps because Ricky Seals-Jones is out. Then having Elliott in that late game, that KC-Dallas game, and then Titans defense, top of the line. So I don't know if I'm missing comments or if it stopped. Maybe you guys just haven't left any comments since. Possible. That's a great possibility. So let me see what I got for Ash. Did I not even do a cash build yet on this? I did not do a cash build yet. Yikes, I'm running behind here. It's almost already 11. Alright, let me do a DraftKings cash line. Alright, let me build this real quick. Still here trying to move. No, I get you guys. Hanging on to every word. Gotcha. Alright. So again, on cash games, Patty, I would play Patty Mahomes over Prescott in cash. In GPPs, you can go either way. Prescott's gonna be probably just a hair. I don't know. It's hard to say because of the price tags. But again, another guy that's pretty cash viable on DraftKings is somebody like Cam Newton because he's so cheap, right? $5,100. But I think I like Mahomes. I really like Wilson in cash. Jeff Wilson. Whether he shows up or doesn't, it's hard to say. Right? Kills, super viable, cashy. Renfro, definitely cashy. Right? Tight ends, Kels, Waller, a little spendy. Colts, Arnold. Arnold I like a lot in cash. Consistently getting the ball. Andrews, again, I just stay away from that whole Baltimore game in general. Right? So then Ingram probably. Dylan could be another one, but I mean Ingram is $5,400. Just too cheap. Cash. Alright. The tight end. Knox is another guy we talk about every week. More GPP play, but gets those goal line looks, right? It's the goal line looks. Goddard, I think, is in a good spot. Cash-wise. Consistent. Conklin ain't bad. Right? So look for a cheaper. Bateman would have been in a great spot if Lamar was in. Especially with Hollywood out. Man, he was in a good spot. Gallup, I think, is just too cheap. Right? So it leaves us 66, and I can move this around a little bit. This is just a cash build. Thielen, AJ Dillon. I mean, AJ Dillon's probably pretty viable. A Waller there too, but noon games. But we did this. Then we go Browns defense. I think that's pretty much where I'd be looking at on. That's pretty much what I'd be looking at for cash and DraftKings right now. That'd be my cash build. Patty Mahomes, Ingram, Wilson, Tyreek Hill, Renfro, Gallup, Goddard, AJ Dillon, Browns. That would be cash. Cash lineup. Okay. So that's where I'd be looking at for cash on DraftKings. Still got big boy to build here. All right, you guys got any other questions for me? Otherwise, I'm probably going to about get off here. We've been on for a little over an hour, so it's always good hanging out with you guys, man. I always enjoy this Sunday mornings, just talking BS and hanging out, talking DFS. As always, right? As always. So, I don't, the Dallas KC game, it's going to be a huge shootout. I'm almost rooting for Dallas to win the game, but I want it to go over in points and be close. 1-2 point game. I think both quarterbacks are going to have monster games. I really hope that's what it turns out to be. So I want to wish everybody good luck today, man. Let's freaking win some money today, huh? I want to hear about somebody screenshotting me or sending something like winning some big buckarooskies today. Big bucks. Big bucks, man. Let's do it. I think we got the tools in place. Chubb, Terry, I kind of touched on Chubb. You might find one of these lineups or two that I build yet, that I have to finish building. He's cheap. He's cheaper on DraftKings at 7,800. And I kind of touched on that when we were looking over those players on FanDuel. FanDuel, he's $9K. He's in a great spot, but I would pay 7,800 on DraftKings. I don't think I'd pay $9K on FanDuel. That's what I'm getting at. So, all right. Appreciate you guys, man. Love you guys. Again, don't forget, tomorrow night, 7 p.m., the Playmaker podcast. We'll have a lot to talk about, right? What's been going on? College football, there were some big upsets. A big one last night. It wasn't even a close game. And then everything else going on, the free agency baseball, like players, where they've been moving. What's in talks of the MLB, NBA? How about my Wolvies, man? Monster win against Memphis last night. Holy buckets. D'Angelo Russell coming out and saying he would take his 5 starters against any team. He would take his bench players against any team. He would take his coach against any team. He's fired up. They're looking good. Pat Beverly in the mix now. Beverly's been balling for the Wolvies. I think the chemistry is finally starting to gel, right? And they got a lot of new pieces that are just there now this year, but I think they're getting in that mix quick. So it's interesting. They're still down there, but they've been making some moves. They got that Milwaukee win in Milwaukee as well earlier. That was awesome. But we got a lot to talk about, guys. What up, Field Guy? Who dat? You got your boy Ingram's in a lot of our lineups this week. With good measure with Kamara out. Yeah, guys, good luck to everybody, man. Good luck to everybody. I will hopefully see you guys tomorrow night on the Playmaker podcast. Again, if anybody ever wants to be on it and be a part of it with us, I want to actually be on the panel and talk. You don't have to know every sport. You don't have to know everything. I pretty much roll it, and then I just ask questions. You give your takes, opinion, if you have anything on it. If you don't, you just kind of pass and move on till we go to the next thing. But it's always a good time. Guys, get your comments, topics, questions in on this last week's Playmaker podcast as well. If we get to 22 unique different user question topics, whatever, it's going to be $90 in PayPal or auction credit that we give out instead of just the 30, which is every week regardless. Balls threw in 30, and Tom T threw in his 30 he won last week to put back in the pot. So $90. We need to get to 22 different people with question topics. And you can do more than one, but we only count one to get to that 22, per deal, per person. So, all right. All right, guys. I appreciate y'all, man. Let's win some money. Good luck. Love y'all, man.